All right, we're going to figure this out together, okay? It's going to be interesting. Side note, this is still up here, so cheer, all right? Also remember, I want a lawyer, okay? That's for after the show. That goes there. Okay. Let's make sure this thing works. Hey, it works. Anyone? Oh, you and I have a lot to talk about after the show. Mostly when the next meetup is, but we'll get to that. Are you? My father. Words. Basically, I'm talking about me. This entire presentation is going to be about me. Am I in the sweet spot? I'm in the sweet spot. Me. Me. No, I'm really not that self-centered, but we were asked to talk about any topic, and particularly topics that hit a little close to home, right? So for me, sperm donation is a particularly sensitive topic, and I wanted to explore it a little bit for myself and for you all. So sorry in advance. A timeline of artificial insemination. There's 2 slides of this, by the way. It's really, really fun. So in 3 AD, ancient artificial insemination. Sounds like something that would be on the History Channel. It's not, all right? What it is a bunch of old Jewish folks got together and said, hey, we could probably do this. And that, the idea was born. Unconfirmed whether or not that was before or after the Bible. I got to figure that one out. Sperm first viewed under a microscope. Can you imagine being the first guy to suggest that to your group of science buddies? Like, they probably just discovered the microscope like 4 years prior. And this guy's like, Vladimir, you know what we should do? Hey? Okay. Artificial insemination in reptiles. This is just funny. Read that. Where's the detail, right? It just says an Italian priest conducts experiments with artificial insemination in reptiles. Pretty sure a priest just fucked a lizard. That's what they're telling me. Would you be surprised? Like, I don't know. 1790, first birth by artificial insemination. That's pretty cool. Darwin publishes Origin of Species. That's history. More history. Mendel publishes A Theory of Heredity. That's cool. DNA first isolated, also super nifty. Like I said, there's 2 slides of this. Contraception labeled obscene. This was pretty interesting, actually. So after all this discovery had been made and people had finally started getting to the process where they're like, okay, this is a possibility. We can artificially inseminate mammals, reptiles, so on and so forth. Eventually, it got to the point where people got pissed off, and the U.S. Comstock law says that all contraceptive devices or information about them, including abortion, are obscene. Okay, that's 1873, so not a big surprise, right? A lot of shit wasn't kosher in 1873. Diphtheria existed in 1873, all right? Times have changed. A continuation of this timeline. I'm not sure if this gets better or worse, so bear with me, all right? First known use of sperm donor in the United States was in 1884. In 1937, it jumps a little bit there because there was a whole bunch of other gobbledygook that just... it was boring. It was really, really boring. In vitro fertilization proposed. Freezing sperm works in 1938. In 1948, churches in Britain basically get pissed off, all right? That's what happens. In 1948, a report from the Office of the Archbishop of Canterbury recommends criminalizing artificial insemination that uses donor sperm. Concerned that such action would drive it underground, the process of artificial insemination, the British government discourages it, but does not criminalize sperm donation at the time. Donor sperm ruled adultery about 6 years later, though. So in one of the first recorded U.S. legal cases involving artificial insemination, an Illinois court rules that inseminating a married woman with sperm not from her husband is adultery, even if the husband's okay with it. You guys thought abortion was the first step to us fucking with your bodies. It's been a long road, right? And you can thank Illinois for it. Fuck the Chicago Bears. Moving right along. Pregnancies from frozen sperm. 4 pregnancies succeed using previously frozen sperm because apparently 4 people didn't give a fuck. about the previously stated law in 1954. They were just like, you know what? That's great. Not doing it. 1978, first test tube baby born. Fun aside, I'm one of those test tube babies. I had a nickname in high school. It was Tubi. It was solid. And in 1978, this is cool. First time dead man's sperm used to conceive. Because fuck yeah, necrospermin, right? Like, if you have a really attractive husband, like women are just like, ooh, I could kill him, get the money, and still have good-looking kids. Here we go. And this was pretty cool. Monumental happenings for women. In 1982, the first sperm bank for lesbians and single moms was founded, the Sperm Bank of California. That's cool. They're helping people out and shit. I don't want to read all this because I'm pretty sure I'm going to go over my limit with this presentation already. There's a lot of animation. So here's some stuff. HIPAA was the thing. Basically, sperm donors and sperm donor-related activities do not necessarily fall under the realm of HIPAA. So your privacy is not 100% protected anymore. I'm going to get more into this later in the presentation, but they effectively decided that sperm donors were not part of that agreement that HIPAA, the law gal knows more than I do. I'm sorry. I'm a little drunk. But what that did, and this is funny, was open Pandora's box or Pandora's cocks, because we're talking about artificial insemination, and this is massively inappropriate. Now there's rules. This is from the California Cryobank Sperm Donor Bank. A lot of banks for sperm have basic requirements that you have to fit, right? Like, so for example, you'll see some right here. You have to be at least 5'8", between 19 and 38 years old, currently attending or have graduated from college, are in good health. All the things that I don't fit into. That's great. I will not be a sperm donor. I will be drunk for the rest of this presentation, though. One moment. That was delicious. So once you meet these basic requirements, so once you walk into the facility, you're like, hey, I want to jack off into a cup. And they're like, hey, you have to be at least 5'8" to jack off into a cup. And they're like, hey, I'm 5'11". Great, come right in. After they do that, you have to go through like a deeper physical and psychological evaluation, effectively to determine your medical history, your health history. So to determine whether or not you're going to be a suitable parent for anybody. Not a parent, right? Because that's not the intent, but bloodlines and shit, genetics are cool. Now, this does eliminate some folks from the pool of who can donate sperm, like my grandpa here. This guy. Who went, oh, he's 4'2". You want him to jizz in your cup? My God, okay. This guy right here. Game of Thrones. Yeah, he can't perpetuate things. Sorry, you guys really that disappointed? He's hideous. Okay. But loose specifications from things like the cryobank in the 70s led to a lot of this. Interesting haircuts producing sperm donor children. Double up. Yeah. Yeah. Wait for it. He's saying hi, like, seemed nice. In the early 70s, first cryobanks, largely run by men, opened in the United States. And effectively what they did is that the guys that opened these cryobanks up, you need to have a bank of sperm before you can open a business built on banking sperm. So what they did was they took college-educated men, mostly white college-educated men and medical students, and they collected up all their sperm, and that was the majority of the samples that they had access to at the time. And then they started marketing that to women, single parents, not quite with lesbians in the case of the 70s, but we started getting there like you saw in the 80s, which was pretty neat. And there weren't a lot of questions with this stuff, and there weren't a lot of answers. From its inception, sperm donation, I can't read all the shit. Basically what it means is that you were encouraged to donate anonymously. From like the 40s on through the 70s and the early 80s, you were encouraged. It was almost standard practice to donate your sperm anonymously. And oftentimes people would go get this sperm, they would get inseminated, and then the doctors would say, we're going to basically eliminate a paper trail. We're going to get rid of evidence that you came here and got artificially inseminated. We're going to get rid of evidence of who the donor was. We basically wanted to keep everything secret because you have to remember at the time, the social mores of society, the way people looked at things like marriage, sexuality, they weren't really catching up with, hey, I just can't get pregnant by this individual and I would like to have a child. We hadn't caught up there yet. That got really emotional. Ta-da! Burt Reynolds is on there, college degree black, college degree white. There's 4 college degree whites because it was the goddamn 70s. Sorry. Fit an Asian guy in there because I thought my friend was showing up for this and he'd be offended if I didn't do it. So there we go. So now it's easier, right? It is. You got things like Ancestry.com, 23andMe, Family Tree DNA, Donor Sibling Registry, which if anybody in here was ever wondering, hey, maybe me, you can go to Donor Sibling Registry, and if you have a donor number of even a friend of yours or a family member, you can actually look them up in this registry more often than not. You can figure out if you have other siblings out there. There are tools that help you. It's great. And there's a lot of weird stories that come with these tools. Like this guy found out he had 32 siblings. Holy shit, right? Like, wow. And then this guy, I thought, who will remember me in the man who fathered 200 children? I think that was in Sweden. And then this sperm donor plans to father 2,500 kids. I saw a picture of this guy. He's not going to father shit. They're not going to accept. He walked into the clinic and the security cameras like sent a message saying this guy needs to get out of here. Unsafe. But they market things to people. These are businesses. You have to remember that. And a lot of times these are multi-billion-dollar corporations now with the amount of data that we're feeding into them. So there is going to be a marketing strategy behind the information that they say that they're going to be able to provide you just by way of offering your DNA to catch up with somebody who may have been a sperm donor or to find a long-lost partner or a grandfather or a grandmother or what have you. Who's your daddy? And they want you to think it's nice guys like this. These are the guys that donate sperm, right? And then by checking your Y DNA against a huge database of other men who have either donated sperm or supplied their DNA in other capacities through the past, you can try and have a much easier chance of finding out who your dad is. And they want you to believe that it's really glamorous, and that's why you're spending all this money on these kits, to find out more about your life, to find out that you maybe have some royal heritage, that you're more special than you wake up feeling every morning. That's what they want you to think. They want you to think that these people might be relevant people in your life, that you're paying for something that will tell a rich history, divulge important medical information, help you with things. Here's what you're really getting. You're getting this guy. Interesting little statistic for you, okay? Who's Genghis Khan? Probably your fucking grandpa. That's who Genghis Khan is. 1 in 200 males throughout the world are direct Khan descendants. 1 in 200. Somebody in this room, this guy's your fucking great-grandfather, okay? Go home thinking about that. Do Ancestry.com. Have fun with that one. And it's almost too easy anymore, though. With all these websites, in 2010, experts in reproductive technology were starting to note that internet searchability, facial recognition software, and the future of DNA testing would soon render anonymity a promise that sperm banks could no longer keep. Holy crap. So you could, in theory, go into one of these places and say, hey, I want to help somebody reproduce. I think I have good genes. I have good sperm. But I can't keep my anonymity. I can't keep this quiet. Somebody could track me down. It's pretty crazy to think about, right? The tables have almost turned, whereas at one point we had no information. Now we almost have too much information on who donates. And anonymity is fading. These are the profiles that you used to get for some of these parents when it was anonymous, right? Look at these things right here. Anonymity, anonymous, race, Caucasian, German, Irish, Hungarian. That doesn't help anybody. Weight is in fucking kilograms. Oh, 215 pounds. Fuck Google, all right. Reported pregnancy, no. CMV status. I don't even know what half this stuff is, and a lot of times people may not know until they've gone into one of the clinics, right? These profiles are not, they're very basic. And profiles like this just remind me of the 3 weeks I spent on Tinder. That's what it does, because that's exactly what it feels like, right? You're kind of just searching through something that feels like a perfect match for what you were looking for. You get those choices, which is great. It kind of is. But then you get this guy whose education and occupation says, chef training, meat cutting specialist at Applebee's. That's not a job at Applebee's. I worked at Applebee's. Behind the grill, which is what a meat cutting specialist is. You're just a line fucking cook. The dude made $12 an hour just like me, and he's like, I'm a meat cutting specialist. You're not a goddamn butcher. And this is sad stuff, right? Because we're getting into the tail end of this presentation. And long story short, I don't have a dad. Okay, I never had a father. It never mattered to me. And when a lot of people hear that, this is what they think. They think these statistics from the Department of Justice. It's some really horrible shit. I don't need to read all of it. Suicide, though. 63% of youth suicides are the result of fatherless homes, right? 90% of all homelessness and runaway use. 85% of all children that exhibit behavioral disorders. This is really hitting close to home for me because I was a shithead in 5th and 6th grade. It was bad. It was really bad. Juvenile detention rate, substance abuse, everything. Look at these numbers. They're insane. And if you don't get caught doing any of this shit, you're 85% more likely to become a struggling comedian. It's great. They don't tell you that in the Department of Justice. So now that we all feel bad, why is this relevant? That's a test tube. That big droplet of sperm is clip art sperm. There you go. Thank you, Internet. Embryo doesn't come in clip art form. Equals, look at this little cutie pie. Look at this kid. Look at him. Look at that. Right? Yeah. So as a product of a sperm donation, I never had a father growing up, nor did I truly need one. And a lot of people would ask this question. This looks like the album cover to a Tears for Fears album from the 80s. I fucking dig it, to be honest with you. God damn, yeah. And I have a contention of the question, though, of people asking me, don't you want to find your father? I don't want to find my dad. Why would I want to find my dad? See, the whole concept of having a father is I think we instill it in the men that act as fathers in our lives, right? Whether or not they're horribly present, we like to think of them as strong. We like to think of them as people that protect. We like to think of them as stable. Even when they're not, we like to think of them as that. We like to think of them as almost an element that we need in our lives. And that's why we feel like we need a father, like we need this information, like we need to know who these people are when we didn't know them before. And I got tired of people asking me that because I come from a loving household. That was the thing. I had 2 people there that loved me to pieces and made every single effort to be there. So when I was raised successfully by 2 individuals, and I still have adults to this day ask me, don't you want to find your dad? I'm like, why the fuck do I want to find my dad? Sure, there was some curiosity deep down, but look at that shit. You know what they say about curiosity? What if I come to find out this dude donated sperm everywhere, and I got like 200 relatives? I'm related to the Trump family somehow. I don't know. Horrible stuff could happen if you start digging too deep into that. Why do I need that? And I don't need that. I got these 2 women right here. I'm a very lucky man. And I'm going to go ahead and end on this. I felt there's no presentation part for this necessarily. It's just something I wanted to say at the tail end is that I can't say that everybody in this room ever had 2 parents in their household growing up. I can't even say that any of you had one. I sure as hell hope that you did. I really do. But understand, as you go about your life, as you create your own progeny, your own legacy, what have you, whatever you're going to do with the rest of your life, if you do have a kid, recognize that you don't have to have a mom and a dad. You don't even have to have anybody who identifies as a mother or a father. You have to have 2 loving people there to support a child. That's it. That's it. It doesn't matter if they're black. It doesn't matter if they're white. It doesn't matter if they're straight or gay. None of that shit matters. What a kid's gonna benefit from is just having 2 of you. It could be Uncle Bobby. It could honestly be Uncle Bobby and then the mom. But just be there for the kid. Just like you would want somebody to be there for you when you were a kid. And that's all you have to do to avoid some of those horrible statistics from earlier and avoid having to do shit like I just did. All right? I appreciate everyone's time. Thank you.